The Philadelphia Eagles offense versus the Kansas City Chiefs defense. I like most of these matchups across the board. And that's not to say that the Kansas City Chiefs defense is weak or not good. But let's be honest, they're not the 49ers. What's up? It's your boy Cintron. Come back at you with another analysis video. And I kid you not, it's my real name. And let's read the title of this article. Eagles versus Chiefs. 5 matchups to watch when the Eagles have the ball. So I think this will be the more, the easier matchup. The Eagles offense versus the Kansas City Chiefs defense. And that shouldn't be a revelation for me to say. Let's go down and look at what is being said. So number 1, the Eagles interior offensive line versus Chiefs star defensive tackle Chris Jones. Look, I know that he's a superstar, but I feel like he can be neutralized. And he's not the only one. There's Frank Clark, there's D-tackle Mike Dana, there's the rookie Karlaftis George. But you just have one guy really, like, who's a stupid star. He's stupid good, a superstar, and he's the dominating player there. But there's so many things that they can do to combat that. So let's look at the 2021 last year's game in Week 4 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The starting line: he had Andre Dillard at left tackle, Landon Dickerson at left guard, Jason Kelce, the mainstay, at center, Nate Herbig at right guard. Isaac Seumalo wasn't in there, don't know why. And Jack Driscoll, who was replacing Lane, who was dealing with some mental health issues, anxiety. He deals with depression. And that's 3 out of the 5 linemen that aren't the same. So, I would say that was a solid line, actually, in retrospect. And it was no shame for them giving up 3 sacks to Chris Jones. And, for a good chunk of the day as well, they battled. They did their jobs, and in retrospect. So let's look at some of these things here. Yeah, so they're not going to just rush Chris Jones straight up. Yes, he plays DN at sometimes. He moonlights there to try and find the weaknesses. But they're not going to put him against Johnson because that would just be a waste of, a good player, a great player, trying to get him to go strength on strength. That's just dumb. As well as Jordan Mailata, he has to size for him as well, and he hasn't struggled in the playoffs at all. I believe they would try him in that interior to attack our triangle. Landon Dickerson at left guard, Jason Kelce at center, and Isaac Seumalo at right guard. And we might just tag team him with the center and either of the guards. But depending on where he aligns, I don't know if he aligns more towards Dickerson's side or more towards Isaac's side. But I don't believe it'll be an issue, especially if they double team him. And if he comes on some one-on-ones, Isaac Seumalo, I think he would struggle a little bit. But either of those other guys, I don't think, for the most part, I think it most likely will be more towards a draw. With maybe Chris Jones having a bit of an edge, depending on who you're facing, Kelce or Dickerson. Dickerson is a young guy, he's a second-year player. He can be had. But Kelce, technique, he's just flawless. His wealth of knowledge, playing from the neck up. But there's so many things that we can do to run at him, to neutralize him, to take him out of the game. Pulling guards and using quick screens and things like that. Like I said, double teams and creating running away from him and take him out of the way, by way of not blocking him. Take him out of a play, because if he doesn't have a chance to have an impact on the play, then effectively he's relegated to just wash status. He's a wash there. But it's so many things that you can do, and he's just one guy that's a superstar on that line. I mean, I just believe the other guys are just formidable, and they're going to handle their matchups, and we'll see. I mean, but yeah, they do have to bring their A game, so take that into consideration. All right, number 2, the Eagles rushing attack versus the Chiefs run defense. And here's where, we have, we're going against Nick Bolton and William Gay. Two athletic guys. They're high clip tackle rates, but they're not superstars. They're not better than the 49ers duo, Dre Greenlaw and all-world linebacker Fred Warner. So, and those guys are just playing in sync, and they want to blitz or fake blitz or line up in the A gap, B gaps, and try and just to cloud it and to pretend that they're coming and try to break the discipline of that line. They just of one mind. They play together truly, and it's at an extremely high level. Just like they mentioned here, it's hard to confuse them, to get them to look lost, to get them to miss assignments. And you believe that the guys who didn't expose us last week are gonna, the guys who are playing this week who are not as talented, not as good, they're not as experienced either, are going to get the job done. It's going to take a hell of an effort for the Kansas City Chiefs to stop this offense, to even just to contain it. But we rushed for this playoffs, and we rushed for I think an average of like 200 rushing yards, and on the lower end last week with about 148, 144, somewhere in that neighborhood. Low clip rate as far as the average, but make no mistake, we dominated in that game up front and kept Jalen Hurts clean. Dealt with blitzes and free rushers and breakdowns and twists and stunts in games. They were neutralized. Bosa was frustrated. You telling his stance. He just was like, where do I find a weakness? Where can I poke a hole here? And there was none for him to find. So and Chris Jones, I think he's a bit better than Jones, but still comparatively speaking, he was their one superstar on that line, and he got neutralized. So I expect him to do more of the same. Not saying that they will, shut the guy down. He will have no pressures or whatever, but just even when he does get there, there's gonna be things for him to deal with. And there's there'll be compromises on the backside. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I just like that I like the idea of them handling him and effectively being able to put him in conflict. They might even some of the runs confuse him as well. And if Chris Jones started getting confused, then it's going to be a long day for those boys in red. All right, matchup number 3, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith versus the Chiefs' inexperienced cornerbacks. And this is where, I just think it comes to hurt, back to hurt them. McDuffie and Watson are both rookies. And Jalen Watson comes in, his 7th round pick, on the field in nickel packages. And he comes in and moves McDuffie to the inside. I don't know the numbers about how McDuffie plays on the inside, why they would make that move instead of just, playing. Maybe that speaks more to Watson and his ability not being able to play on the inside, because slot corners is a whole different game. It's a different beast than playing on the outside, There's not too many guys that can play inside, outside at a good clip rate without their game suffering in one of the two areas. But Snead is their most talented corner, and I have to, give him credit. He's underrated. He's a solid corner, but we're gonna look at these numbers below. So first, L'Jarius Sneed, 104 targets, 69 completions, a quarterback rating of 84.2. I like that. And 4 TDs or 3 picks, it means he's pretty much boom or bust. He's gonna give up a touchdown, or he's gonna give up a TD or an interception. But it's one of the two. But still, that's 69 completions, 104. He can be had. And 84.2, that's a very solid number for him to be, giving up. Trent McDuffie, him being a rookie, this speaks maybe to his talent, but, he's not too far behind. And that's more half, 27 completions, 51 targets. 3 TDs allowed, though. So, speaks to, again, his inexperience. He's not picking off balls. Maybe he's there. He's right there running with you, but he hasn't been able to flash the turnover ability, creating abilities thus far. 86.5, even worse than L'Jarius Sneed there. And like I said, these aren't terrible, but high 80s. I mean, that's a solid day for a quarterback, and I like Jalen with those numbers, you know, the target. And Snead also travels, but I mean, I don't think he'll do that this game because I don't think he's good. You know, they've taken their best corner and put him on someone, and that just makes it easier for them to target the other receiver, whoever it is, and it's going to be a mismatch. And he might end up in a mismatch himself with whoever he targets. Either way, it's pick your poison. Die by jumping off, or by slowly taking away your appendages. But either way, you're gonna fucking die. Jalen Watson, he's the worst out of the three. 71 targets, 46 completions, 5 touchdowns allowed, and 1 interception. 103.9 quarterback rating. That is a very, very good. I was going to say that's a great day for the quarterback if you come out with that rating. So Eagles are going to have like 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end. With Quez and maybe alternating Zach Pascal in there as well, depending on what kind of play we're running, whether we run or pass. And that could be also that bunch formation. Like, there's so many things they can run out of that, can pass out of that. It's really an LA Rams formation where same personnel, same formation, so many different looks you can operate out of, and that just confuses the defense. But they're gonna try to get Watson on the field, which is just smart because he's giving up those numbers. You want to put him out there, and maybe even take advantage of another position thrown there. Just having it be a decoy. Bringing him out there, thinking that he's going to get targeted, but you're going somewhere else, and then coming back to it later in the game to laying those traps. Like, the cat and mouse game is going to be beautiful. But yeah, you put him on either, he either gets left behind by the Slim Reaper, the route running maven out there, Devonta Smith, or he gets out physical at the line by AJ Brown. And yeah, it's just bad either way you split it. So they don't even have to target Trent or L'Jarius, but I believe they will anyways and go after those guys because they showed off a little bit against the Jaguars. Jaguars and the Bengals, but they were compromised. Their line, the Bengals were missing 3 starting O linemen, both of your tackles and your center. Your center or your guard. That's just recipe for disaster. The right line is going to stand up, be able to stand up to those guys and be able to buy Jalen that time affording that time needed to get that ball off. But we're going to come to an issue maybe with that later as well. And Dallas guarded versus the Chiefs red zone defense. So the Chiefs gave up 9 touchdowns to opposing tight ends in 2022. Only 4 teams fared worse, and that's just a big red flag for them. Dallas Goedert runs great routes, man. He's like a wide receiver out there. So I would, if you had to push game to show, I would say it's a push a tight end. But just there's, not being a homer, just being honest. With the production level, is it the no Tariq, the dearth of options? The trust / the comfortability with Kelsey, or is it just that he's just that good? But you look at what he had with Hill there the year before he left, he's just that good. So I'll give it to him that they have the better tight end, but it's not by like a wide margin. It's not like he's it's number 1 and it's number 5. I'd say it's number 1 and it's number 3. I say Goddard is the 3rd best tight end in the league behind Kelsey, obviously, George Kittle, and then it's him. Just you can debate me on that, but he's just a fantastic talent, and we're not losing much by having him be the 3rd best tight end in the league and the second best tight end in this game. But I believe that's just a huge advantage, especially in the red zone. But against those linebackers, I just think he runs pristine routes, and he can get skinny. He has speed. He just knows how to stem. That's wide receivers type of stuff, So I just think he wins most of those matchups out there and gives us a huge advantage in the intermediate territory and in the red zone, using his height, size. But let's get to the last one. Jalen Hurts versus the Chiefs. D coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. Like he's he won the Giants their championships in '07 and 2011. Known for being aggressive. He's chilled out more so this year, but he still has that that aggressive gene in him. And he's gonna test Jalen Hurts obviously because that shoulder, it hasn't been the same since he got hurt. I don't think he's heavily compromised, but the ball does sail on it sometimes. Like he should have hit A.J. Brown at least twice in the 49ers game deep. I think one was on number 7, Charvarius Ward, and then one was on what's his name? The other guy, I forget his name. I think it might have been Jimmy Ward. But yeah, other guy that they had 38, Dumdorf. I call him Dumbledore. But yeah, I mean, those were chances, missed opportunities. But I think that he had another 2 weeks to give that shoulder a little bit more rest. He'll be better. He'll be somewhat in between the Giants playoff game and then the Giants regular season game. So I think that's at best. I think that's at best, but at worst maybe the Giants playoff game. So we'll see. But I think Spags really mixing up coverages, rolling things, trying to get Jalen to throw from a certain direction, because throws to the right aren't hitting on the same level as throws to the left. Throws to the left are normal. Throws to the right, he's struggling. So we'll see how Spagnuolo tries to dictate that. But you got to worry about the read option. Got to worry about getting space in behind the second level. Getting isolated. And giving him attempts. Maybe some good percentage shots, trying to get hit balls downfield to those wide receivers on one-on-ones. Because if he sees one-on-one, I believe he's going to try and take it. He's going to pull that trigger. But yeah, I think that just the run game as well. If you don't key for him, run blitzes and stuff like that, because if you don't stop that run game, everything revolves around that. You're gonna shorten the game by giving Mahomes lesser possessions, and shorten the game by way of running out the clock and keeping that time of possession. And if they get close, especially goal lines, gonna score via sneak. So I believe points will be had. I think Steve's defense will be more of a bend but not break defense, and that's just where they are. Put in conundrum. They've struggled against running quarterbacks, and that's just hard because they talked about some ways to play the read option. You have to really bring your guys up in face, but they're scared. They're scared to get beat deep. They're scared to get guys in behind them, because you have to commit to it. But what are you committing to? If you commit too much towards the run, they hit you with the pass, and vice versa. And you don't know which, and then the quarterback can always keep it. So they're going to try maybe some zone blitzes. He has struggled, Jalen has, with some of those that contain him and contain the amount of rush yards. But then, there's always audibles off the exit. So it's going to be a great cat and mouse game. I'm really excited. I can't wait for this game to see, happen, because I really want to see how they're going to try to attack and how we're going to counter. If it's going to be like on the first try, a perfect, play call. If we're going to be dictating to them, if they're going to be able to solve that puzzle, and how they're going to attack, how they're going to try to contain. Because I think they're going to try to contain. They're not going to try to stop it, flat out, because it just, it's really it's a difficult, offense to handle. So many caveats and things like that. But I'm not going to go any deeper than that. We're going to look at some things across the league, a few things, and then we're going to get up out of here. The Hall of Fame class for 2023. Here are the headliners: Rondé Barber, Darrelle Revis, Joe Thomas, Zach Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, Don Coryell, Chuck Howley, Joe Klecko, and Ken Riley. So Rondé Barber, the 90s corner for the Bucks, who played, I think, maybe he had 20 seasons at corner, and that's just unheard of. Just an Iron Man. He didn't miss too many starts. If he did, I know he missed some starts, but he didn't miss too many, I believe. But just a lockdown corner, the ideal corner when you envision that Tony Tampa 2 defense, the ideal corner that you want running that spot for you. So he held that down for 20 years, and then just amazing, you know. So yeah, he deserves it. Um, had the measurables, and was the more lesser known, quieter Barber brother over Tiki, but I think he had the better career than his brother. Maybe he had a lot more longevity as well. And that corner and the defense position too, amazing. And then you have another corner, Darrell Revis, who just had his own moniker, Revis Island. Mercenary later in his career, but really a shutdown corner for the Jets early, and he earned his money. He shut down the best and brightest in our game, the most talented, Moss, Ocho Cinco, Andre Johnson. I mean, he just did it all, took the challenges head on, and he won a couple Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, and I forget who else he won a Super Bowl with. He won back-to-back, I think, back-to-back years, but yeah, really talented guy, man. He just was a clinic on how to play the cornerback position, and yeah, he didn't have as long a career as some other guys, but he made it count. Joe Thomas, the 10 Pro Bowl left tackle for the Browns. I think he maybe never missed a snap in his career. Just 10,000 plus snaps, and just amazing. Held down a position. Never made the postseason as well, which is just a travesty that a talent like him didn't get the chance to play for Super Bowl. I mean, potentially Super Bowl glory, but he's recognized by his peers. He's a first ballot guy, and yeah, just amazing guys. So a lot of these guys are modern era guys that made it in here. But Joe Thomas, nobody never questioned his work ethic. He made the Cleveland Browns during his term at the very least respectable on offense there. Zach Thomas, a star linebacker for the Dolphins. He just was a tackling machine. Was such a beast in the early 2000s, late 90s with the Dolphins there, and played with Zach Taylor, or Jonathan Taylor. I'm forgetting the linebacker for he's a Red Bone guy. For the Dolphins there as well, but those two just stalwarts, and you might have questioned some of the they had defensive teams. They didn't have offense there for a long time, but those guys were gonna give you their heart and soul on defense, and he was the heart and soul of that defense for a long time. Just a very solid guy, man, and then off the field as well, very good guy. DeMarcus Ware, just the modern day pass rushing terror. He was coming out of a smaller school, I think historically black college. He played at Troy University, and he was the big league wasn't too big for him. Wasn't too big of a jump. Came out there and just flashed athleticism, and it was running off of athleticism for a good amount of his career before he got his pass rushing chops down. And once he studied up, man, I hated playing against him because I knew he was coming out the edge, as a Philadelphia Eagle fan. And, he just raised hell for us there in that division for many years. And then went over to the Broncos, won a champ, and got out the game, and just, perfect. Beautiful human being. He had a classic, beautiful smile. Such a, great guy. He was funny, hilarious, but he gets his just desserts. I think he had like 130 plus sacks, and just was phenomenal over the course of his career. Don Coryell, the only coach on this list, the author of the Air Coryell, the air raid in the 80s that sent the Chargers to championship games, AFC championship games during their era, and he really reset the game as far as just airing it out. I mean, it's just the air attack. What's his name? Kellen Winslow, the original. Played in the offense and just star tight end. He really hallmarked the introduction of the pass catching tight end to the league, and really changed the game. So he passed in 2010. Rest in peace. Shout outs to him, and thank you for your contribution to the NFL. Chuck Howley, don't know much about him, to be honest. Joe Klecko, I don't know much about him either, but he played for Gangrene. He was a pass rushing talent, and finished second to LT, Lawrence Taylor, in the Defensive Player of the Year. They had a decent sack rate, and it's just at least for that time. But yeah, just seems like he was a very solid player, great player as well. And Ken Riley, player of the Steelers, I couldn't tell you much about him. All right, let's get to the next thing. Eagles get 0 awards at NFL honors. Who cares? Historically, the best quarterback hasn't gone on really to win the Super Bowl. In recent history, I think 18 of the last quarterbacks who won the Super Bowl weren't the best one, weren't the greatest quarterback in the comparison. And 11 of the better halves did win, but 18 non-top tier winners versus 11 top tier. I'll take the 18 any day. But yeah, who cares about it? It's just how the league, some of the not really the peers. I think it's just the media, how they see us, but we don't care about that anyways, man. Like I said, as long as we get this jewelry, I don't care. I mean, and I know them boys that don't care either. It just more fuels with the fire, if anything. Because Coach of the Year weren't even nominated. Brandon Graham for Comeback Player of the Year wasn't even nominated. Hassan Reddick wasn't even seriously in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Okay, cool. So I was just like, okay, you don't want to give it to us. I'd rather have a Super Bowl, so if you ask me, that's cool. And lastly, Brandon Graham stating what the difference between this year and last year was: aggressiveness. So, we were kind of like middle of the pack / last in a lot of categories. 31st in sacks last year, 10th overall, I think, yards allowed. And it's just like, okay, there's some good points, some decent points, but just not a lot to stand out on. And Jonathan Gannon's scheme last year came under heavy fire, and even I was on that that train as well. I was like, man, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's and also ran, but they really bought in and just like attacking, and you can see from 70 regular season sacks and 78 overall, including the playoffs. So they're getting after guys out there, and it's terror for them, and they play fast, they play disciplined, but they just we have so much more talent that we brought in, and those guys haven't gone through the season that they went through last year. We're able to help, assist, teach the guys that are coming in this year, and just kind of expedite the process. And it's just aggressive. Like, our safeties are playing aggressive, our corners are playing, especially in the playoffs now, aggressive. Our linebackers are playing aggressive. The line playing aggressive. So I mean, at every level, we've got players that are just attacking and playing under discipline and with good leverage, but not being timid. Last year I feel like we were kind of feeling things out, and that's what led to kind of getting run over roughshod. But anyways, this video is way too long. You're not gonna even watching this. You're not even watching those, so who cares? So like I said, it's like the NFL honors. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's motherfucking go. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if you like. Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.